where a Saturday morning scenery blends with hear ye, hear ye.
Definitely here to
A shilling for their thoughts
do my team proud.
shows a focus beyond the scorecard.
Force and impact.
They're chasing something
Timekeeper ready.
worth much more.
Fight.
Breathe and relax. Let's go!
Not adrenaline,
That's right. What's he gonna do?
not discipline.
Sidestep.
Ironically,
Stop fight. Stop fight. Good job, guys.
Clinton fights
Gold medal today.
for friendship
You have to walk away at least with that respect.
and respect for whatever this is.
You know, medieval MMA.
It's where many fighters find their backgrounds.
Taekwondo, I did Shapalgi Kung Fu for a bit. I'd done Hapkido, a little bit of Jiu-Jitsu.
Now add a blacksmith to the mix.
I'm encased in steel, fighting with my friends.
Nice.
The safest thing I've done.
And William O'Keefe,
Yeah, this guy's being dudes.
he finds this is where it all comes together.
Nice.
Your best friends tend to be the people you were just fighting with.
And why not meet the whole team at once?
The melee's where it really gets brutal, man.
5 new friends
Check every one.
in one breath.
Marshals ready. Timekeeper ready. Fighters ready. Fight.
He's trying to throw that hatchet around here so he can pull down on his head.
Headlock!
Watch their legs too.
It's just the beginnings of lifelong friendships.
Now we're sword fighting, I guess.
But Kelly Selmer's here for another eternal bond.
I guess I'm like preparing myself for the day my husband just like walks home like in a full like night outfit. Like, honey, this is what I'm doing now.
So far,
We're pretty nerdy.
they've just been experimenting with the gateway drugs.
My husband started playing Dungeons and Dragons a few months ago.
But once you're old enough,
We had foam swords, and I was also like 10.
it's time to try
Well,
the hard stuff.
I guess if everyone's consenting, then no arms are getting chopped off.
You're swapping out a weapon?
All equipment must pass inspection.
Yeah, that's good.
We do not want anything sharp on these blades. They're actually completely dull.
That ensures the fighters are focused on the one true task at hand.
5 dudes versus 5 dudes, last one standing.
My God! Weapons flying.
That's where the background in MMA comes into play.
There we go, body slam!
This is fine. Yeah, this is active. They're actively trying. Okay, stop fight!
You can't go for knees, no thrusting. That's like the one death that's happened in the sport.
A lesson learned
In the head!
Protect your melon, that's the most important part.
and a friendship earned. Because everybody has a plan until they get an axe in the mouth.
You're both at the end of your strings, you're putting it all in there. You learn each other at another level that most people don't get to learn.
Nice work. Jack, great fight, buddy.
3 days a week
All right.
for the last
Okay.
2 months.
So I'll get these all lined up, and then we can load up the bananas.
Elisa Knigge could be found
Okay.
in
Ooh, that breeze feels good. So right now I'm calling it the McCall Summer Food Program.
and out,
All right.
and then back in McCall's Community Center kitchen.
So we're having ham and cheese today, courtesy of the Forest Service and the food bank. I need 2 assembly line people. Here-
Sorting sack lunches
I can do that.
We need sandwiches over there and veggies and dips.
wasn't exactly how Elisa planned to spend her summer.
It's not often you see somebody wants to do something.
I'm one of those people that if there is a need, I'm going to get in there and try to help. Kids not being fed in the summer is not okay. Right now, I'm making the sandwiches for the 2 boys that have pork allergy, since we're serving ham and cheese today.
But Elisa
I filled a few lunch bags in my day,
is not alone in this endeavor.
and now you see so many young families not being able to do what we did with our kids. Anything to help that actually happen so that people can have the experience we had raising our kids here, super important.
The juice is in here. The community has come together because the need is so great here, and often these kids are forgotten about.
They were forgotten, Elisa says, when Idaho neglected to opt in to a $15 million federal debit card program in 2023. Then again, when Idaho's senators rejected a similar proposal for this season. And finally, this past spring, when the local school district didn't have plans to provide a summer lunch program of its own.
I thought, wait a minute, this can't be good for our families. And I'm thinking about who I see every day in our community.
But thinking about it,
all right, so drinks.
Wasn't enough for Elisa.
Well, my first focus was, there's no way a kid is going to go without food on my watch. I have a Southern Italian mother. We do not do kids going hungry.
She says her first phone call was to the school district.
Is it 10:45 already?
To find out how many would be losing out on lunch.
Last year, the McCall-Donley School District had 267 kids signed up for the USDA free and reduced meal program. Of those 260 kids, 205 were signed up for free meals. That is an indicator. They can help themselves to juice, and there's water, and grab a lunch bag. That is an indicator of the need in this community, because it is hard right now for people who are just trying to get through everyday life.
That's a situation
I'm so glad you guys are here.
Elisa is familiar with.
Because I've been there. My family has been there. We actually experienced homelessness when we were in Vancouver.
Several years ago, her husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor, while Elisa was struggling with an autoimmune disease.
There we go.
They spent 7 months in a homeless shelter, so she knows how tough it can be to go without.
And are you seeing it here?
I'm seeing it here. It's frightening because we don't have the resources up here that I had access to in a more urban area, and I feel like it is absolutely our responsibility as a community, especially a smaller community, a smaller rural community, to step up. Does anybody need anything?
From that first phone call to serving that first lunch in June, they have.
We put it together in 5 weeks. All volunteers and donors, all of it. I never have to worry about not having help.
Nor does she have to worry if anyone will show up.
I think it's been amazing for this community.
I like to tell people I have the best job. I have the best job.
Elisa just hopes filling 40 to 50 bellies a day is enough.
Oh, it's more than a full-time job. It's more than a full-time job. I would do it 10 times over though. Absolutely. Did you have a good lunch? Did everybody get enough to eat? Yep. I cried more tears of joy since I started this than I have probably in an entire decade. See you later, Gators. Bye. Thank you for coming. You know, humanity is a beautiful thing, and we should all embrace that more. I'll see you next time.
Armed with cans of color.
These farmers are from the Dominican Republic. They are cocoa farmers. They are siblings, Carlita and Francisco Martinez. They're highlighting these farmers to just bring attention to the work that Fair Trade America does.
It takes layers to create a piece that tells a story. And much like Bobby Gatan,
I've been painting now for at least 20 years.
This piece,
mostly with spray paint,
brings together layers of the past and blends it with the present.
Well, this is very close to my heart.
At the base of this creation,
I'm a former migrant farm worker, and so for me to represent farmers in a very positive way and in a way that brings, a positive light, it's very important to me. And again, it's just puts a face to where your food comes from. And
so it hits close to home.
To me, it does. And also, it's just another. It's very meaningful because there's representation. As a brown person of color, I get to paint. Some, Spanish-speaking farmers, and so for me, I think that's also another, cool thing that I get to represent my, my Hispanic heritage.
This isn't his first mural, but this one paints a brighter picture than the rest. Inspiration to paint farmers comes from his dad's dedication working in the potato industry.
I've always wanted to do art for a living, and just having my name up there, it is a proud moment. I'm the only, boy in the family, and so I think when my dad comes around and visits, it's a proud moment for him to see his son, have a name out there. And
But he also brushes in the beauty of his mother.
The butterfly is kind of part of my signature. I use it a lot in my work. It's a very personal representation of my mother, but it's also symbolizes transformation. It symbolizes migration.
This project wasn't just for Bobby, his family, or the fair trade farmers, but also a stroke of inspiration for the community.
Now, lots of honks, a lot of thumbs up. There's a friend I met, Bruce, and his wife and his dog. They come every day, look forward to and they've just been super excited about this project.
The final layer is a spray-painted reminder that art, just like farming, starts from the ground up. With the right strokes, it can flourish into something that leaves a big impact.
I always try to add something positive back to my community, and just being part of this project has allowed me to do that.
Arcades are in the business of selling nostalgia. It's where what you remember as a kid is revived.
Arcades were a big thing. I remember getting quarters and going to the arcade to play Street Fighter 2.
Or Joust, or Donkey Kong, or going berserk for Asteroids, where the joy of something generational is bridged to the next. And perhaps no game narrows that gap.
No, we had Nintendo.
More than the classic pinball.
Not so much. It was more like my dad's thing.
It did for Lucas Silvers.
He'd still be on the same game, playing for free, because you can get a replay.
Where in order to get more money for video games, he'd have to play a game of pinball with his dad.
He'd kick my butt, he'd give me a few more quarters, and the cycle would kind of continue, and that was my arcade experience as a child, so it was pretty fun.
And now, the adrenaline rush of the silver ball.
There's a lot of flashing lights and noises, and it just stimulates all my senses all at once.
Is shared between another generation of Silvers.
I always just found it fun,
That fun became competitive when Lucas signed Zyron up for his first tournament 5 years ago. He finished 4th.
Yeah, I was right there next to that top 3.
So he was hooked from the get-go, so
Yeah, hooked instantly. I'm always been kind of competitive.
It's that competitive spirit that kept the teenager coming back to the arcade at least twice a week for 4 or 5 hours at a time to practice. Where repetition is really the only way to become a wizard.
Yeah, I know the machines pretty well.
And standing like a statue, not really an option for Zyron.
There's a lot of, energy I have in me that so yeah, I just kind of, without really thinking about it, I'm just moving all around.
About the only thing that seems still in here might be Zyron's mind. But inside his head, it's all about what's going on inside the game.
How does the ball come out of that feed? Do I need to nudge it a little bit as it's coming out to keep it more safe? I like how there's infinite variation. Yeah, that's what's cool about it, is you kind of get to choose your path.
The path Zyron wanted to follow was the one to champion. And now you are.
Yeah.
Crowned last month at the Idaho State Tournament.
That last round, I went to 7 games. It's all the way, and that last game was a nail biter, and he did it, and it was pretty exciting. The exhilaration on his face, the accomplishment of, I finally did it. It was a proud papa moment for sure.
And next month, Zyron will take his talents to the next level.
We get to play against the best players in the world.
Competing in the North American Pinball Championship. A pretty good path for what started out as just time together.
Yeah, very much so.
For a father and son. Pinball champion.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But it's cool.
Yeah, pinball's my jam.